helping women with invisible illnesses realize that you can still lead a pretty healthy and active lifestyle. It's just not going to be the one you had envisioned for yourself, but time marches on. It's not going to wait for you to. Okay, I'm going to be blunt here. It's not going to wait for you to pull your head out of your butt and stop feeling sorry for yourself. That being said, you are entitled to have a little bit of a pity party, but you can't live there. It's just going to make everything worse. That's been my experience anyway. Y'all have to forgive me. I'm still trying to get settled in. I'm in Texas. I'm going to spend the vast majority of the winter here because I'm collecting health conditions that are not conducive to the Alaskan environment. But I don't even really have this isn't the best setup for filming, but this is where we're at right now. And my hair is rather voluminous today. I love the humidity. Anyway, fear of success, or is it a fear of failure? Which one is it really? Do you know? Do you realize how closely tied those two feelings? Is that the word I'm looking for? Anyway, they're very closely tied. This information is from psychcentral.com. Look, we fear failure for a multitude of reasons. Maybe you've got a track record of being a screw up. I mean, for me, for a long time, that was definitely the case. Or maybe you got penalized or punished if you made a mistake. I remember one time, and I know she never intended this. It was just a bad moment for her. But I remember very clearly when I can't believe this still sits in my mind so heavily. But I was in the 6th grade. And my teacher, who was she was an amazing teacher. She truly was. But she made a spelling mistake on the board. And I was like, oh, Miss Rust. And I pointed it out to her. And I wasn't trying to be hateful. And I certainly wasn't trying to embarrass her. I was like, she's going to be so proud of me that I noticed. Well, she wasn't. It embarrassed her, which was not my intention. But it embarrassed her enough that she made a fairly catty comment. And, it was hard for me after that to raise my hand in class again. So maybe you got punished. Maybe somebody was too hard on you because you made a mistake. Maybe you're a perfectionist, which you're making yourself, you're causing your own problems with that because perfectionism doesn't exist. There's only one perfect person that's ever lived, and he ain't here. It ain't you. Sorry. Maybe your self-worth, your sense of self-worth is tied to your performance or your accomplishments. Maybe you just don't think you deserve. Maybe you don't think you deserve it. Maybe you just have a really narrow definition of what it means to fail or to succeed. You need to understand that there is a huge difference between, oh, I'm just a failure, and, wow, I failed to reach my goal. Obviously, there's a tremendous difference there, and it's a small shift, but it's a very significant one. If you fear success, again, you might not think you deserve it. Maybe you feel unworthy. Maybe you're worried it's going to add more pressure, more work, more stress. You might be concerned it's going to impact your relationships because, unfortunately, a lot of times the people in our lives, they're envious of our successes. They can't celebrate for us, which, by the way, has nothing to do with you and has everything to do with them. But that's something a lot of people deal with. Just like with your fear of failure, maybe you doubt your abilities, or maybe you have a very narrow definition of what it means to be a success or what it means to fail. How do you overcome it? Well, you've got to acknowledge. Of course, you have to acknowledge your feelings. You have to accept them. You can't work through anything if you don't accept how you feel. You need to know you're not alone. This is a pretty universal thing. Whichever side of that equation you fall on, most people deal with this to some degree. You need to look for the potential. We tend to go, well, what if I fail? Well, okay. But what if you don't? What if you succeed? What if you knock it out of the park? We rarely look at it from that perspective, but what if you do? You need to visualize. First of all, you need to define what success means to you. This needs to be very personal. I don't care what society expects from you. I don't care what your family expects from you. What do you expect from you? Because at the end of the day, that's all that truly, that's all that matters. But you are going to have to visualize your success. And I mean, quite literally, close your eyes and daydream about it. Get as detailed as you can. What is it going to look like? What is it going to feel like? How are you going to feel physically? How are you going to feel emotionally? How are you going to feel spiritually? Get as detailed as you can and get a notebook and write it down. There's just something magical that happens when we take a pen to paper, but write it down. Excuse me. And then revisit it. I'm patting my notebook like you can see it, but revisit it daily. You need to keep these things fresh in your mind. Again, you need to redefine success on your terms. I'm of the age when I was younger. Honestly, I can't even believe this is still hard to admit, but all I wanted to do was have babies. I wanted to get married and take care of a house and raise babies. That's all I wanted. But being Gen X, we were, oh no, you can't do that. You can't do that. And I was pushed into a world I never really wanted to be in because I let other people define success for me. You need to focus on progress, not perfection. Again, perfection doesn't exist. It's just BS they sell you in Hallmark cards. No offense to Hallmark, but there's no such thing as perfect. Don't pursue perfection. Celebrate your wins, celebrate your progress. It's so easy to get caught up in the, oh my gosh, I still have so far to go. But look how far you've come. And I'll give you a good example of this. I'm really bad about that in regards to my weight. I've lost 50 pounds from my heaviest, which is amazing. I still have quite a bit to go, but I don't have 50 pounds anymore. And it's really hard for me I have to really remember, I've got to look back at where I was. And sometimes I'll even pull up the old pictures like, wow, I really don't look like that at all anymore. You have to look, if you don't celebrate your small wins, who's going to celebrate you? Maybe you're trying to eat healthier. And at the end of the week, you look back at your food journal like, hey, I hit my goal for however many servings of vegetables you're aiming for. I hit my goal every day this week. Celebrate that. Now, is anyone else going to celebrate that? Probably not, but you should. Why the hell shouldn't you? That's tremendous. You've made a lot of progress towards your goal. Make sure that you look back at the end of every week and see how far you've come in the week. Or maybe you'll see, wow, I didn't do very well this week. And you can figure out what worked for you and what didn't, and you can adjust your course. You need to remember failure. First of all, failure is inevitable. You're going to fail. Failure is a part of life. It's just a learning process. Failure is simply feedback. That's all it is. Now you know that whatever you tried, that didn't work for you. That's okay. Move on to the next plan. And if that doesn't work, move on to the next plan. Don't get so hung up on something. We have such a weird, we put so much emotional pressure on failing. But really, truly, most of the time, what happens when we fail is our egos get bruised. So the hell what? Truly, who cares? Everybody who is around you I'm going to be so embarrassed that they saw me fail. Well, you know what? They've all failed too. It's inevitable. It's always an option. But you need to be kind to yourself. And again, write this stuff down. There really is something so amazing that happens when you take a pen to paper. That, by the way, does not happen when you are typing on a keyboard. It helps, but it's not the same as actually writing it out. Why? I don't know. I'm not a scientist. Oh, I was going to say something really smart ass, but it would have been political, and I don't want to go there. So I have to get back to work. I'm not on my lunch. I just took a short break to pop on and do this. I've got to find a time that works for me, but I haven't yet. But I will be back at some point on Wednesday. I hope you guys have a